Whoa, episode 6. We're getting there and it's getting more in depth. It's called Rebuilding from Nothing. Welcome back to Lessons from the Fall. Up until now, everything we spoke about has been leading to this very point. The mindset, the ego, the pressure, the moment you realise you've gone too far, and then the collapse. But here's the truth people don't understand. The fall isn't the hardest part. Rebuilding is. Because when everything collapses, there's clarity. It's obvious. You know where you stand. But rebuilding, that's uncertain. There's no roadmap, there's no applause, there's no validation. Just you and your decisions. And this is where most people struggle. Because rebuilding doesn't feel like progress. It feels like starting over. People say starting from nothing, like it's motivational. It's not. It's fucking confronting. Because nothing doesn't just mean no business. It means no reputation, no momentum, no leverage, no credibility. And more importantly, no identity. You're not who you used to be. But you're not who you're becoming yet either. You're in between. And that in between phase is uncomfortable because you don't have certainty anymore. Before you had direction. Even if it was flawed, you had movement. Now you're questioning everything. Every decision feels heavier. Every opportunity gets analysed by people who want to bring you down. Every risk gets magnified and blown out of proportion. And for someone who used to move fast, this feels like friction. But friction, that's growth. Rebuilding isn't about business first. It's about thinking. Because the same mindset that built your success also contributes to your failure and your fall. So if you rebuild with the same thinking, you rebuild that same outcome. And that's the trap. And it's why so many people fail again. Hey, I failed 3 times before I got to this stage. But because they changed their environment, but they never changed their psychology. I've changed my psychology. I brought people around me. For me, the shift was this. From speed, I went to patience. From ego, I went to awareness. From reaction, I went to structure. From proving, I went to building. And that sounds simple, but it's not. Because it requires you to slow down, to sit with discomfort, to not chase the next opportunity, but just because it's not there, to actually ask, is this right? And the question alone changes everything. One of the hardest parts about rebuilding isn't resisting the urge to rush, because you've it is, but because you've had success before, you know what's possible. You know how to generate momentum. You know how to move quickly. And there's a part of you that wants to get back there fast. But here's the problem. That urgency is often being driven, I should say, by the ego. It's not about building properly. It's about restoring identity. You want to feel like yourself again. You want to prove that you're still capable. You want to show people you're back. And that pressure leads to poor decisions because you started saying yes too quickly. You started chasing deals. You started moving before you built structure. And before you know it, you're repeating patterns. And that's why rebuilding requires restraint, not just action. Rebuilding isn't built on big moments. It's built on small ones. Consistent direction. Showing up every day. Doing the work properly. Making better choices. Even when no one sees it. Doing the work properly. Making better choices. Even when no one sees it. That's a big one. There's no spotlight in rebuilding. And there's no recognition. No one cares. And there's no validation. And that's what makes it really hard. because you're doing the work without the reward. But this is where the real businesses are built. Not in the hype, not in the momentum, in the discipline. And the discipline is repetitive. It's the same actions over and over and over again. But this time it's done properly. That's how foundations are built. Renown didn't come from ambition. It came from experience. From seeing what goes wrong. From understanding how people get treated in finance. From recognizing that speed without structure causes damage. And I want to build something different. Not just another lender, but a lender that understands. Time matters, structure matters, ethics matters. Because in private lending, you're not just dealing with money, you're dealing with people's lives, their businesses, their families, their futures. And if you get it wrong, the consequences are real. Not just how fast can we lend, but how do we lend responsibly? How do we protect clients? How do we structure deals properly? Because I had seen what happens when you don't. Rebuilding teaches you things success never will. It teaches you patience. It teaches you humility. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you awareness. And most importantly, it teaches you responsibility. Because now every decision carries weight. You don't move the same way. You don't think the same way. You don't operate the same way. And the difference, you're not just building again, you're building differently. If you're rebuilding, hold on, let me go back a second. I'm guessing you're listening because you want to understand how I rebuild. You might also be listening because you're actually in the phase of rebuilding. So listen carefully. Accept where you are. Don't rush to escape. Understand it. You need to fix your thinking first. Your mindset will determine your outcome. Don't chase validation. Rebuilding isn't about proving something to someone. It's about building something real. Not for you, but for other people in your life. You come at the end. Speed comes later. Structure comes first. You need to stay consistent. You don't need big moves. You don't need consistent ones. Rebuilding isn't exciting. It's not glamorous. But it's where everything changes. Because you're rebuilding properly. You don't fall the same way again. Our next episode, we'll start shifting into business. We're going to talk about broking in lending. What most people don't understand about money, risk and finance, and why non-bank lending exists in the first place. This is lessons from the fall, and now we're not just reflecting, we're going to be building. Thanks, guys.